All right, so I wanted to follow up on the story, and it's crazy that's going on. The whole thing with Sony acquisition in Kadokawa. A lot of people are freaking out because that Kadokawa has agreed to the acquisition from Sony. But I wanted to look more into this, and where I first saw this was from Grums that retweeted or quote tweeted level 80 or 80 level. I'm sorry, saying that rumors have confirmed by Kadokawa that they are at the letter of intent, a stage of selling the company, included from software to Sony. Such letters are non-binding and anything could happen. So I wanted to go more into this. So I clicked into it and I pulled up their article from 80 level. And it's saying this pretty much, where basically that the company Kadokawa wants to have the deal go through with Sony, which scares a lot of people. I know, because of, you guys know the recent events that's going on, or the recent event that happened with Concord and all, and like how a lot of stuff is being changed, the restrictions and things like that have been going on with gaming, or with Sony. That's pretty much. Well, the thing is, they want to purchase Kadokawa because of the assets that they have, their IPs. They have 26 IPs. 6 of them are mobile games, and then 20 of them are actually like console games. So they would have access to that, and they would have control over From Software and everything, which is very scary for a lot of us, because they've been coming out with amazing titles, all the Souls games. Then also you have Elden Ring, things like that. A lot of people want to put Bloodborne in it, but Bloodborne actually is not part of the Souls games. They're not part of From Software. It's actually a PlayStation title, which is kind of weird because we still haven't got, I believe the 60 FPS, and also we haven't got it ported over to PC. It's still solely on PlayStation. But anyway, let's go more into this, right? So even though that Kadokawa wants them to acquire them, right? Wants Sony to acquire them. The thing is, Sony's like, hey, we just want only these assets. That's it. Well, Kadokawa's like, no, it's a package deal. If you want something from us, you got to get the whole company. You have to purchase all of us. And the amount is 4.1 billion. And the reason why I say this is they want control over the assets of video games and also with anime. And the reason why I say anime is because Kadokawa has over 100,000 anime and sci-fi novels and comics, including stakes in games developments. Again, like From Software, right? They have 20 console games and 6 mobile games. One of them is Gacha, which is awesome to hear. And then Kadokawa's subsidiary develops Action Game Maker, scheduled for 2025. If you guys don't know what Action Game Maker is, I didn't know about this until now. But Action Game Maker is something that is put on Steam, and all it is, it's a game engine. It's literally like Unreal Engine and Unity Engine, but it's all put into Steam. So this is to create video games if you wanted to. And this 2D action, right here, it says brings 2D action game development to all those that are skilled levels using the Godot engine. So if you know Godot, you're gonna be perfectly fine with this. This is pretty much, I think it's like, in, I guess you'd say in related terms, Action Maker is like the FNCS engine to Unreal. So you have Godot, that's like the overall, which is Unreal Engine, and then you have Action Maker, which is going to be like FNCS. I believe it's going to have already like assets that are put in there that you could just easily make a game. And this is cool. This is going to be a lot for a lot of game makers, developers, things like that. Let me add that to my wish list. I'm sorry. So this is really cool to see. Now, it's just interesting because, like I said, Sony wants to acquire all this stuff, right? Acquiring Kadokawa would make Sony a much more formidable player in anime. Also, Sony could make a cinematic or video game adaptations out of the fantasy universes, further expanding not the universe, but the audience. So why is it so important? Why is it very, very important? Well, if you guys don't know, the past year or so, the anime market has been blowing up. I'm gonna see if I can find it here. I remember seeing it earlier, but it has blew up with like I think it was like Yeah, 3 trillion yen, which is 19.5 billion dollars 2 years ago by 2022. That's what happened. It made it that much. It doubled in a decade total, which is insane. But there's been a lot of attention for it, like Microsoft, Tencent Holdings. I know Tencent has I think 23% of, well, not of Katakawa, but I believe it's From Software. They have a good amount on there. And then Kakao Corp, which apparently is they're rivals, and they're like, bro, we want to buy you so then we can own you pretty much. But it's just insane to see where I'm going with this in a gaming perspective, is that if PlayStation does get a hold of this, they get a hold of From Software, which they can make From Software games into movies and animes, which would be cool. But the big issue that I have is the region locking, which a lot of people are having issues with now, where if you don't live in PSN supported countries, then you're pretty much you're pretty much out of it. You won't be able to play these games, and it sucks. And why this is a huge issue is because of 3 games that got ported over to PC and they received it. Everybody knows the Helldivers 2 debacle, right? This was fair, right? Or not fair, but this was unfair because a lot of people already had the game on Steam and playing it on Steam. And in the middle of their peak of players, they slapped the PSN requirement. They wanted to put that in there. It got a lot of backlash, if you guys remember. It received a lot of backlash. And on top of that, they doubled down and put restrictions on the countries that you see here listed below. Restrictions on all of them. They can't purchase the game. They can't activate the product, which means they can't play the game either. They're locked out of it. If they bought the game, they're locked out. Not only that, it got worse. Ghost of Tsushima. Same thing. When they released that, people were excited. But guess what? Same countries can't play the game. They're locked out. They can't purchase it. They can't play it. God of War Ragnarok, that got ported over as well. Same thing. And the thing is, Sony's not going to stop. They said that all our future games that are going to the Steam on PC and everything like that is going to require PSN accounts. So this already is going to happen. It's insane because in the future, what this means, if they're going to keep going this route, future Souls games, if the future Armor Core games, all these countries are not going to be able to play. They're already going to be knocked out of it, which I think is complete and utter bullshit, because I know there's a lot of people that are big fans of Soul games, that are content creators or just general casual players that love the series and the franchise, and they will be locked out. That's what scares a lot of people. And this is why a lot of us hope the deal doesn't go through. But like I said, it's Katakawa that said that they wanted to acquire. They wanted to be acquired by it. All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we have a sale going on at Gamer Advantage Eyewear right now. So from the 28th all the way to the 2nd, there's a sale that is going on, as you guys can see right here. We have Black Friday to Cyber Monday. 40% off on the 29th for Inferno and Horizons. 28, we have 35% off site-wide. So that's happening right now as of this recording. And then also you have 35% off on prescription, 40% off on apparel. On the 1st, you got a BOGO sale on accessories. And then on the 2nd, it's off of Diablos and Slay frames. So if you want to get some rose gold Diablo frames, I highly recommend getting them right here. And on top of that, with all this going on, if you use code Chino in the link below and also at checkout, you will get a 10% off on your purchases. So you can actually bump these up, and they're stackable too. So you get 60% off, getting 45% off and 50% off, getting 45% off site-wide, and getting 50% off on your Infernos and Horizons. So make sure to get those, check those out, and keep your eyes healthy and free from straining your eyes and stuff. All right. It hasn't been confirmed from Sony. They're still in the talks of it. Like, hey, we're ready for some sort of agreement. But Sony is the one that's hesitant about it. They're like, no, we just want your anime. We just want your anime IPs, and we want your game IPs. And Kadokawa is like, nope, you take it all. We want it all. You take all of us. So the ball's in Sony's court. Are they going to go through with it or are they not? So on top of that, since they would have control of all those IPs, they're going to be making a ton of money. They'd be making billions of dollars, because if any game, any show, any movie, whatever, wants to use like an asset, like a character or the name of the said game or anime or whatever, they get Sony gets a piece of that. They get a good amount of money for that because of the licensing. So the idea where they got that from is from Nintendo, because Nintendo does it with, all the the merchandise, the games, the movies, the shows, theme parks, things like that. They're just racking in money. Now, my biggest concern, like I said, with region locking, the whole souls and stuff like that. Not on top of that, Miyazaki, everybody knows, like one of the, if not the greatest game creator of our time right now, because he's just putting out banger after banger. Armored Core, Dark Souls, Elden Ring. You guys seen the DLC? Shadow of the Erdtree was almost like its own game, for the amount of time that it had, but it was a DLC. So making the, obviously dubbing the Souls-like for the unforgiving gameplay, which I think is awesome. It's it feels like a remnants of old school gaming, because back then, if the game was hard, it was hard, tough, find a way to get through it, which you had strategy guides. If you guys remember the books, they had those. But where I'm going with this is, I'm afraid that if Sony acquires Kadokawa, that means they own completely. They completely own From Software. And the situation is, Sony loves to micromanage, and they like to put in that shouldn't be in there. That's my biggest concern about this. And the way how Miyazaki has been working on these games and just really doing well on it, I feel like Sony's gonna micromanage what Miyazaki's gonna do. I don't want to put words into his mouth or anybody's mouth, but I feel like if this gets to be enough, Miyazaki will leave From Software. And then after that, From Software will crumble because the creator's not there, and probably the artists that have been there since the beginning are going to leave as well. And it's just going to make a series and a franchise like the worst thing ever. We're seeing it with Dragon Age. We saw it with Star Wars. All these titles that are well established, all these franchises are getting destroyed because of things and certain companies that they shouldn't be doing. So yeah, again, Kadokawa's wanting $4.1 billion to be acquired. So we don't know. We don't know if Sony wants to if Sony's gonna grab them. If they do grab them, I am very concerned of where all this is gonna happen and when this is gonna go. One last thing I will say when it comes to all my video game makers, game designers, artists, things like that. For this game, if they get acquired by Sony, it makes me question, if you make a game using Action Game Maker and you want to put it out on Steam, does Sony get a cut of what you put out? That's my thing. That would be something I'd be terrified of. That I make a game, I put my blood, sweat, and tears in it. I make a game and I put it out on Steam, but then Sony is like, we want a piece of it, or that is our product as well. And that's what I'm deeply concerned about. So if it comes to that, well, guess what? I guess I'll just go and learn Godot, which is fine for me too. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to keep more eyes on this. I really want to see where this is going to go. But yes, let me know what you guys think about this whole thing with Sony and Kadokawa. Do you think it's going to go through? Which I hope not. And if you do, what are your guys' thoughts of this? What is your output? What do you think is going to happen if they do get acquired? So, it's Alpha Chino, and I'll see you guys later. All right? Peace.